Hey, yo, what's the deal? It's your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag, you know what I mean? As of this recording right now, it is 10:37 p.m., October 6, 2025, but the upload time is actually going to be 11:30. You know what I'm saying? And, I didn't know what I wanted to talk about tonight. Like I said, I seen the whole Santos Escobar thing. To me, from what I understand, I'm going to put this on the tag pwnews.blogspot.com website. Put a plug in there. That WWE offered him a big contract, but he turned it down because of creative, right? He feels like WWE did not use him to his creative juices, right? And like I said earlier, Santos Escobar is just, no offense, but he's just a hand. He's just a fucking hand. But I got no problem with the guy. Speaking of creative, during the last couple of days, I've been seeing a lot of funny shit on social media. It pertains to AI, right? I've seen, a couple of people, made Tupac Shakur and Biggie in WWE, WCW. You know what I mean? I seen videos of, Tupac walking down Cuba with fucking Kobe Bryant, and he was talking to Bruce Lee and such. Hold on real quick. Let me eat a Reese's Pieces. Hold on. You know what I mean? They also did my boy Bob Ross dirty. You know what I mean? They did him real dirty. Like, they had him, come down to Raw, but they also had him snap during the painting. Y'all know I love my paintings. Y'all know I love art, right? Speaking of art, while I was putting some stuff in my email and such, pictures, I seen vintage pics of Faith Evans, boy. Like I said, light-skinned girls are not my preference, but she is fucking gorgeous, boy. She is. Goddamn. At that time, shit. But speaking of AI, it's only a matter of time before promotions, professional wrestling promotions, no matter if it's WWE, AEW, TNA, or whatever, that they start using AI as part of the creative team. I feel like, and like I said, AI is scary. And I'm not talking about Allen Iverson. Shout out to The Answer. I'm not talking about Allen Iverson. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. AI is here to stay. You know what I'm saying? Like, AI is not going nowhere at all. Like, if anything, AI is being used in a lot of stuff. Like, it's a good add-on for creativity. You know what I mean? Like, it's the next best thing to a search engine, right? I use AI a lot when I'm creating, like, the descriptions of the videos, because I'm not going to write all that shit down and such. No, I'll use ChatGPT to help me out with creating a description and everything else. But I also use ChatGPT to help me out with recipes for cooking. You know what I mean? Like certain projects that I do manually, I'll ask, AI to give me a hand. So I use AI as like a buddy, but when I'm able to take care of stuff on my own, I'll do it. But if I need a little bit of assistance from AI, I'll do it. But I kind of feel like a lot of these pro wrestling promotions, it don't matter if it's, the main ones that we know, but also indie promotions and such. I would not be shocked if they start to use AI as part of their creative team. I would not be shocked, because I feel like with AI, especially now with ChatGPT, I mean, you got a bunch. Like, you got Google Gemini, Grok, Copilot. You got a whole bunch that helps out with all sorts of shit. And you know what? It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad. Like, let's say like you can't come up with an idea. Let's say let's say I already have like the main event scene down packed and I have the mid-card scene down packed, right? But what do I do with the lower level guys, right? What the fuck do I do? I don't have any ideas. I'm not just going to randomly throw them in and such and, just have matches. No, I need to build story. But how do I? That's when I'll ask AI to help me with that. And also that's another thing too. AI is also good when you're like, when you're playing video games and such, right? Because the WWE Universe mode in WWE 2K and such, and even in like, when people make, they make their own fantasy, professional wrestling leagues and such on YouTube and such, with WWE or even back then, like, SmackDown and Raw and such, like they fantasy book their own promotions and such, right? They come up with the storylines and everything. AI is not a bad way to use to come up with stories and such. It's not a bad thing. It's really not, But I feel like, a lot of these promotions are going to wind up doing that. I think they're going to wind up, creating all sorts of stuff. I mean, shit. If they're talking about doing movies with a fake ass actress, an AI actress, where that got a lot of heat, by the way, right? And they're doing music with AI. Just imagine with storylines. Just imagine. It's good in a way, but it's also dangerous too because you don't want to rely too much on AI. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to rely. Like I would use AI as a starting point, where it's like, all right, I read what it has to say, and then I'll come up with something of my own after, to build up on, the storylines where it's a continuation of it. That's what I would do, right? I would legit do that. But that, like I said, that's just me. That's just absolutely, that's just me 100%. But again, it's not a bad thing because, AI is basically taking over the world. Like to me, yes, it's that and a search engine is strong together, right? Your own creativity, and then you use AI and such. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's really not. It's not. You know what I mean? But you don't want to rely too much on it. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a breaking point. This is what happens when you don't build the creative team, Tony Khan. Now, this is what happens. When you don't build a creative team or have production meetings, this is clearly what you see. And it's crazy when you think about it. It's really fucking insane. Like I said, I would not be shocked if promotions are starting to use, AI to help, with creative, booking matches and, booking where to go and such, because again, like, it's good when you don't have an idea. It's good when you ask for someone's suggestions, when someone's suggestion, you know what I mean? And there's nobody there. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's ask AI what they got, what ideas does it have? It's a good out the box. It's a good out the box tool. It really is. It really is. It really is. I would do it. I would do it, if I'm running a promotion, but I will also need actual people there too, because, to bounce ideas off of, So, but yeah, again, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if you see independent promotions or any kind of promotion use AI, as part of their creative team. built up story and such. They copy, paste, they print it out. You know what I mean? They give it to, they give it to such and such. Or what you could do, here's a smart idea too, right? Let's say you have AI, lay out the scenarios and such, right? What you could do is you can actually use bullet points and improvs, for what it wants you to say and such, right? You can add your own thing, right? I think that's a great idea, but that's just me. That's clearly just me. Anyway, guys, I'm about to be out. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys think under the comment section. You know what I mean? Don't forget to don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like my videos and such. And I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace.